Terrell Owens, released by the Dallas Cowboys, signed by the Buffalo Bills. Do you like this move for either the Cowboys or the Bills?
You know, I'm gonna be taking a very interesting stance on this. I'm gonna say I like the move on both counts.
Okay.
You know, T.O. is clearly, you know, a good player still. He's 35 years old, but, you know, last year he was 13th in the league in receiving with 1,052 yards. He's got 10 touchdowns on 69 receptions. Now, that's not an amazing stat line, but you got to remember the whole year he was basically feuding with, you know, the whole Witten-Romo like controversy and whatnot. He was upset, and, you know, T.O. may be a pretty destructive force in the locker room, but the truth of the matter is he's still a good player. So I'm definitely looking for the T.O. effect to come in right now when he jumps on with those Bills. You know, when he's going to be paired with Lee Evans, it's going to be a great combo, and I really think that he's mad and he's upset, and he's going to have a great season next year. So I think it's a good move on both parts.
Okay. See, the way I look at this, I see two different storylines emerging here. One is the faith that the Dallas Cowboys must be placing in Roy Williams that they got from the Lions at the end of last season. They must have some very high expectations for him to come in and fill the shoes of a guy like Terrell Owens, one of the top receivers in a while. So it'll be interesting to watch how he performs next year. And I think he might be able to get it done. I think he's a good receiver. I don't know if he'll have quite the impact that a guy like T.O. did, but he also won't have that detraction in the locker room either. So it's interesting to look at this. But the other big thing that I see coming out of this is the way T.O. interacts with the quarterbacks in Buffalo. Because that's been the big problem wherever he's been. You've seen him having problems with McNabb, problems with Romo. How is he going to get along with guys like Trent Edwards and J.P. Losman? I mean, that's a big drop on the overall name scale here.
That is a big if, but I mean, I definitely think, at least for this first year, he's going to be excited, and I think he's going to work well with them. Even though they may be young guys and not as experienced as some of the other quarterbacks he's worked with. But, you know, regardless. Moving forward, you know, right now the World Baseball Classic started earlier, I believe last week, and you know, I think it's a pretty good thing. Do you even care?
A little bit. I think it needs to get some. I think it needs some time. I mean, this is only the second time they've had it. It's kind of in the development stages a little bit. I like this in the sense that now that the IOC has canceled Olympic baseball, I like this because it gives kind of another outlet for that. And the one thing that I really like that they've done here that I think will enable them to be successful in this is that it's in 2009 right now, and they're going to offset it every 4 years. So it'll be in 2013, which means it will always come offset and a year before the World Cup. And it will never be in the same year as the Olympics either. So it will always be kind of that every 4-year event that falls, but it will never fall and be outshadowed by some of these other bigger events, and it'll hopefully kind of draw off of that, I think.
No, that's definitely an interesting point. You know, and my answer to this question is a resounding yes, I care. You know, with like Andrew mentioned, there's no Olympic baseball, and from here on out, you know, I only think the competition in this WBC is going to get better and better. You're seeing professional players sign on board more and more to represent their country, and you know, as I've watched some of these games this weekend, I've already seen some great action. You know, I watched the U.S. play that close game 6-5 versus Canada, where, you know, we had two-run shots, and then Canada stormed back in the last couple innings. It was a great game, you know. And then I watched the next game when they played Venezuela, 115-6. No matter what, even if we don't have the absolute best players here, we still have professional players, and they're still killing it. And it looks great. You know, you have some other great teams in this mix, in Korea, Japan, Cuba. They all look really, really great. And you know, you're going to see the competition getting better.
Yeah, and another thing that I think about this is that it's good for world baseball as a whole, because you hear about teams that you kind of assume to be perennial powerhouses, teams like the U.S., the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, teams that you hear about a lot, countries that you hear about a lot in baseball. But then you have teams like the Netherlands, which you don't affiliate with baseball necessarily, coming in and upsetting these teams and really kind of making a name for themselves. So I think it's good. It kind of promotes everyone. I like it.
Definitely.
So speaking of some good things happening, there's a lot of good things happening around here in Ann Arbor. We have the women's track team stirring some noise, the women's golf, we have wrestling. What's the most impressive thing that you've seen with some of these minor sports in Ann Arbor lately?
Definitely. I'm pretty excited about women's track. You know, we just got out of the Big Ten tourneys and then the Alex Wilson Invitational, and we've had some impressive results. You have Tiffany O'Felley. She was just voted the Big Ten Track Athlete of the Year, actually, and then also her teammate Betty Wade as the Field Athlete of the Year. That's U of M, you know, women's track sweeping the major awards as far as the Big Ten goes, and I just think that's a huge thing. They're sending seven 7 runners, including a relay, to the NCAA's, the indoor championships that are coming up next weekend. And you know, it's just been some great action, and women's track is really showing what this program has, you know, made some moves.
Yeah, we have Wade, one of the best pentathlon athletes in the country. O'Philly with the best 60-meter hurdles time in the country. Really impressive stuff there. I'm impressed with what the women's golf team has done. We have Ashley Bauer. I'm sorry, I was blanking on the first name. Ashley Bauer. Really helping out the women's golf team in the Red Rocks Invitational, hitting a hole-in-one in the tournament. That's pretty impressive. I mean, you got to like that going on. And the men's wrestling team doing some good things, winning championships in 3 weight classes.
Yeah, that's the most individual titles of any team at the Big Ten tourneys. So
yeah,
that was also very impressive.
You got to be pleased. Okay, well, on that note, we're going to take it to commercial break. Stay tuned, because coming back, we have talking some Michigan men's basketball in the Big Ten tournament right after this.